Hey everybody, it's Steve Olson, and I have a special guest today that you all need to meet. He's part of the WSO Live. He has been with me from the beginning. Jim Rivas. Hi, Jim.
Hello.
So Jim, guys, you got to know something about this Jim guy. Jim, I scored a friendship that is going to last forever with Jim. And the other thing that about this relationship is Jim has been teaching me the secrets of really how the internet really works, and that's going to be part of what we talk about today. But Jim, how's WSO Live going right now?
It's going amazing.
It is. And we're getting a huge amount of signups, and I think that we're going to explain a little bit of that today. But, WSO Live is, first thing I want to say to you guys is we're not trying to keep anybody out that can't afford it. So if somebody's really struggling and wants to, borrow, just go ahead and you got to send an email to me and let me know. You can't complain to me on my comment section, guys. I can't do anything for you there, okay? So the first thing is, if you have a problem, email me at olson.steven.d@gmail.com. Now, second thing is, you go, well, why are you guys turning into an enterprise or a business? Jim, how would you answer that question?
Well, the main reason is because we have a bigger mission, much bigger mission than this website and WSO Live and what Steve's doing. There's a logical conclusion to all this. And if you just play the tape forward, you realize that it takes a professional enterprise to execute everything we want to do.
Right. And we've seen enough amateur organizations out there, guys. You should see the wasteland of amateur organizations.
Been a part of them.
And we've both been part of them. And so what we're doing, the reason why this is so exciting, guys, and we're going to go into this, is that really WSO Live is just the tip of the spear. And when you see us building this organization with seminars and with radio shows, Jim actually is going to be having a terrestrial radio show coming up. All these different things are coming together, not just to talk about Nibiru or Planet X, is what we realized. Everything that's going on is connected to Planet X some way.
It's all connected.
Right. And so let me give you an example. Today, Jim's going to upload on premium content an interview of the Deep State Blues program, one of the parts of the WSO Live network. Is we do deep state blues and we go into issues that affect people from the deep state, and the deep state's motivation is all around this.
Absolutely.
Because they want to use this event as a way to control us, guys, and that's why we're doing this. So
remember, Steve, they had basically 30 years to creep in slowly but surely to get their tentacles around all the levers of control at every level, and we're seeing it now. And I mean, if the election had turned out differently, you wouldn't be noticing any of it.
Right. And this is a good segue. So, guys, when you talk about, and I'm going to put up a slideshow for you guys, and we're going to walk you through this vision that we have.
For the Truth Underground.
For the Truth Underground. And let's just go through it, right? So,
first and foremost, the Truth Underground it was being created. It's been a long-standing idea, yet everything seems to be synchronistically coming together in a very unique way right now. The Truth Underground is a response to circumstance. The platform that runs WSO Live is part of a greater network. Some of you have stumbled into it because you'll hit a JMA login screen or something that is basically not part of WSO Live, but is part of the gateway into a larger network. And I'm not going to go propeller head into the whole technical concept right now, but just understand we've had my work over the last 8 years has been involved in creating an alternative internet and an alternate content space to actually just create probably a more idealistic version of the internet reality.
Right.
I mean, that's just bottom line.
So why would WSO Live and the Truth Network be successful now when it couldn't have been successful 6 months ago? And that's the story we're going to tell you guys.
Well, PTB pitched us slow and over the plate by attacking first. First they came out with the hard censorship attacks in WSO Live, Health Ranger, InfoWars. I mean, they've been very public.
Gaia has been attacked.
There's hundreds of sites, the most highest profile. They first attacked them outright. They basically, shot the lead bird in each group, and figuring if they took the top one out, the others would just crumble too. Then, there's some rather resourceful people who started suing them, and Google doesn't like to be sued.
So that's what's going on. Censoring content is no new thing. And by the way, Jim's been at this for over, 20 years?
15 years in this current incarnation. I mean, Google is just hitting its 20-year mark. They really came of age, I got involved heavily with them in the late 90s. I mean, they actually officially incorporated in 98. yet. In the early 2000s, it was still what we call the Wild West days. So I was involved in Google marketing since '99, and so I went through every iteration and realized pretty quickly, and just like many of you here have been through the watchful evolution of Facebook, it always started as an idealistic and a version of, the intentions were good, the people created were purists, they didn't want to have advertisers at all. Neither of those platforms. They resisted advertising, as long as they could, even to the point where the creators of Google were willing to sell their company for $1 million. Just, literally 2 years before they had a market cap of $36 billion. They were ready to sell the whole Google rights for $1 million just so they didn't have to deal with advertisers. How's that? And so, because I think fundamentally knew once advertisers got involved and they would lose control of the direction, they would no longer be able to execute a purist platform, and they didn't. It quickly changed. Google AdWords came in, which was great for marketers, but that's when they started executing censorship. It was around 2007-8, and Google decided they want to change the game. They used to have, 2 or 3 ads up on a search engine result page. Well, Wall Street, right? They want more. So now you go to a Google search on the top search term, and you have a hard time finding the organic content there because it's all ads above and below.
Yeah, you're going to have to pick through like 100 million search returns, right? Now, here's what they've done, and I'll tell you the story in context with WSO. So they're going to shut down the money flow. The first thing they did in December timeframe, that's when we made the biggest money on the advertising, guys, okay?
Right.
They shut down WSO, they shut down several other lead dogs, just like he's talking about, because we're the leader in Planet X research, okay? So what did they do? How did they avoid the lawsuits? How did they avoid taking direct action? They got the Fortune 50 behind them.
Well, right, when the lawsuits started coming in, the Fortune 50, because remember, that was a really fast knee-jerk response, just like all the craziness in the mainstream's going on now from the deep state. They're trying all these crazy things, and then when they realize they've stepped on a landmine, they back off and they regroup quickly and come with an alternative strategy.
And so what they did was in this last, let's call it a crisis for now, because I'm going to turn it around and show you that it's not a crisis for us. They shut down the money flow. There's a new term going out in YouTube land. It's called advertiser friendly. If you're a creator, you know about this term.
Right.
They'll shut down your monetization of a video in 5 seconds or less if they don't like the content. Defunding altogether, and it's regardless of due process. I was just listening to one of my favorites, who doesn't like me, by the way. One of my favorite guys in the internet doesn't like me.
Yeah,
but but I love him, and he just got 3 copyright strikes yesterday and got shut down.
Well, it's
in one day.
All right, the new terms, there's 5 key points, and the bottom one is where all of this muckiness lies. It gives them total power. And by the way, this happened before, okay? In search engines, they hit us marketers right back in the late 2000, or first decade. They changed the whole game. Anybody here listening to this who's an internet marketer knows. We went through what was called a series of Google slaps, where they systematically reconditioned the entire content marketplace for content marketers. People were censored, lost millions of dollars. It absolutely changed the internet, and it was predated the explosiveness of social media. So we've seen this before, and people like myself have been engaged in this underground battle with them for a long time now. Mm-hmm. And so we know the deal. So when they started hitting WSO and these other channels, bottom line is we were working on a solution to this. We started 8 years ago.
Jim foresaw, let me be correct. Jim foresaw this. So I was one of those suckers. I went on there. No, seriously. I went on there. It was an easy platform, YouTube. Yep. I just put my videos up. I got a big audience. But here's the thing. They control me. And if they wanted to shut me down, I even found myself starting to wonder if I should say this or not on the air.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then they're censoring you.
Yeah, it's a form of censoring. Right. Now, this is not a crisis, you guys. This is we see this as the biggest opportunity ever presented to us for the sharing of unpopular and convenient truths. Let's continue. Here's the thing that's different this time around. The last time around, it was the creators, web developers, people that worked with Google in the technical level that were getting affected by what we call Google slaps.
Right.
This is the first time that the general social media audience, or let's just call it the truther market, for lack of a better term, they're pissed. You're pissed.
Well, this is the first time I've ever seen them do what we call core IP level blocking of a website. I've never seen them do that. Just go take it out of the search index. I know they've always had the ability. they had other ways of doing it. If you were a paid advertiser, they just turned off your advertising if they didn't like your content on your site. It was just that easy. And it's very similar to what they're doing now.
But it was stuff that if we talked about it to the public, they'd be like, "You're crazy."
Right, exactly. No, no, they would. Matter of fact, That's exactly. Oh, you violated their terms some kind of way. So this all became a decade ago about what Google wants. So YouTube explodes. All these new content creators, beautiful platform. None of these folks had any idea that Google was even capable of this, much less would they.
Right.
And so they built the popularity of YouTube on all this open content creation, created a really, I think, a generous compensation model for the content creators, let everybody build out there, get hooked on it. They didn't really, they were looking at it from a business. So along comes the political agenda, changing times, which, again, the Truth Underground is the whole exploration of the why, and we'll put that aside for right now. But Google suddenly, with their last election cycle, they had dismissed us completely, if you will. They had, I think, pretty much dismissed the power of it, underestimated, as we all know, and we saw what happened. And so their moves now are simply, we can't accept this anymore.
Right. And so here's you, right, the public, okay? We know you're angry and worried. We knew this was coming. And we were angry and worried 6 months ago when I met Jim, or more than a year ago now. This time around, though, the market's aware. You guys are aware of this stuff, okay? And the way I can see that is you're willing to support artists they love, including WSO. And by the way, I love you back, and thank you for supporting us. Yeah. Because you trust us, and we're going to make good on that trust on this, okay? But all creators, especially the popular ones, have you noticed they're all devastated and begging for money? Begging for money.
And I mean, if y'all remember our emails of a few months back when we were under serious attack, they tried to choke us off, and he did.
So this isn't about Jim and Steve coming up with a way to fight, because you guys are restless due to world events. We are all unsure of what's happening right now. We're all scared, and we're unsure how to fight back. But guess what? Jim and the Truth Underground is how we're going to fight back.
Well, and let me just say something, because we haven't really, and we're not going to get into the detail of my story in this video. Let me just say this. I've had the fame and fortune before. I was really hoping to get out of this without having to do it again. Quite frankly, I openly admit that.
You're a very humble guy, Jim. I listen. Jim has a lot of confidence in his voice, but I've never met a more humble guy. He doesn't want fame. He doesn't want any of that stuff.
It's not about the money anymore. I've had that. In fact, in this last 8 years journey building this platform, monetarily, it was a disaster.
Let me give you an example. As Jim and I have been working on this over the last month here at his home, we actually have had to set up as entrepreneur. We had to circle the wagons. We had to share our money in order to pay rent and fuel. Guys, we're not making money right now. Yeah, we are struggling. But here, we don't care about that. We don't care.
The word's not struggle. The word is we're thriving, but it's all part of the sequence. If you guys start listening to me, you're gonna hear me talk about language and how we talk to each other and ourselves. Very important here.
So here's what the Truth Underground really is all about. This is the genesis of Jim, and then our idea, and then our work together in WSO Live. So we basically are the first. Let's call it the guinea pig.
WSO Live was the guinea pig. I was waiting for somebody in the PX realm to emerge doing this, and so I was watching everybody. Steve was clearly the guy. I knew he had to go through some growth and some learning curves, and because I was we actually both woke up to this reality about the same time. We took different paths to get to the point, and I was on top level designer and part of other groups for planning survival communities, and Steve was building the YouTube thing, and I always knew there was going to be more to do on the internet. But at first, just like most people, when you wake up to this, you freak out a little bit, and I made a transcontinental move, a strategic relocation, because I could, and because first off, I couldn't stay. I was down in the coastal Gulf Coast area, and I couldn't wake up any morning there feeling very cozy because of my altitude, for one, and for two, just knowing that at these events, whatever they are, it was a really bad place to be, and we learned that in Katrina. So it was just perfect timing. I was able to move. I moved literally, followed the Mississippi rivers north as I went, and then went north more. We're as close to Canada as we could be without being in Canada, and it's beautiful. It's great. There's just so many other benefits that I hadn't anticipated, but originally that was part of our reason for moving here. And I wanted
And
to
by the
finish
way,
this.
there's a lot of preppers here.
And I wanted
And
to
by the
finish
way,
this.
there's a lot of preppers here.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God,
this might be the most secret area for survival. We'll talk about that in another video.
We'll talk about that in another video.
This
All right,
is
so let's
amazing.
talk about the Truth Underground again. So,
Okay.
so the genesis of this idea was, and Jim brought, and we're not going to talk about the technology, that's top secret. But he had the technology to actually execute this. And what we're designing is an underground that will defeat all forms of contemporary censorship.
Using methods that are not mainstream, known, or published.
Right.
It's all patent pending stuff.
Right. Rapidly convert, secure, and protect revenue streams from external platforms. And this is about the artist now, right? So here's the artist. They're getting a paycheck from YouTube AdSense. That check ended. It went down to 1 or 10% of what we were making before December is all we're making now.
And that's the high.
That's a high end.
That's the high number.
Right. So all this revenue went away. So guys that got their audiences up to over 50 grand, which is where you need to be in order to do this as a job, are all now struggling. And so what we're going to do as part of the Truth Network is it's going to be a paid platform. You pay a fee as a user, and you go in, and then we will share that revenue with your creators.
Right. We have a whole architecture, strategy, and plan. We worked this out really. I mean, and
everybody
by the way,
wins.
Keeping the cost. This is a way to keep costs down for everybody. Allow the publishers to get back in a financially healthy state so they can keep producing. Folks, you may not realize this. I mean, YouTube was like your basically was being funded the same way as network television until recently. In other words, you didn't have to pay for it. It was all free. And yet you were paying for it because every time a video fired up, right, you had to wait for the little skip button or whatever. In other words, you were inconvenienced. It wasn't enough inconvenience for you to modify your behavior and say turn the ads off by paying a $15 a month subscription, which by the way is 10 times more than we charge. That's what YouTube wants for you to not watch the videos that were funding the whole thing.
Oh, and YouTube's going to turn into a paid platform eventually.
Soon.
It's already happening.
The TV model rollout, the Netflix, it's all been on deck.
So what they're going to do is replicate network TV on YouTube for free and make everybody else pay. Right. So we're going to get ahead of it. Now, our idea, though, is to make it so that advertisers can never influence content again.
And never stop anybody.
Right. So we are about a movement, you guys. This is a movement. We're building a digital underground network of subscribers, publishers, and we have services for both.
And the underground part, let me explain it a little bit without getting into technology, the secrets, is essentially, it was a perfect marketing architecture. So, it's about using technological solutions to, let's call it group empowerment. And WSO Live members are getting ready to see the next phase of this week. As far as some of the things we're going to be asking you guys to do, but you have to be a member to see it, and everybody in this community becomes part of the movement, like it or not. And that's part of. In other words, folks, if we are going to have a chance to survive whatever's coming our way, whatever that is, okay, the most imminent threat we all have to accept as human beings on this planet who are obviously trying to mess things up pretty bad.
Well, we don't know if they're all human either.
Well, whatever. Okay.
Sorry, I did it.
I'll give you that. But the bottom, so that the strategy has to be in position, and truth is what is the currency. I mean, if we break down as a society from where truth is, and you're seeing it happen in front of you by censorship, and I mean, the people, there's no dialogue happening anymore. It's everybody shouting at each other, and it's ignorance mostly. And so, if there is a chance, because we'll need this elevated consciousness and a higher level human exchange for going through this whole thing, whether we're just simply shifting out of here, no matter what it is. I've heard all the theories. I think they're all magnificent. Because at the end of the day, it's our true essence is spiritual beings in this universe. Is what we're all getting ready to discover and leverage. But no matter how that manifests in this reality, the bottom line is we all have to assume that that's going to be the continuity here. And we if we just keep sitting on the bench, we're gonna it's just going to be lost.
Right.
Because we did that for too long. Yeah. I admit, I raised my hand first of guilt. My generation, our generation, Steve and I's,
greedy.
Well, we came out of the 80s, man. It was blowing and going. We were making money like crazy. Money became the whole thing. The generation before us was all about the money. And it was our parents, generally. So we were chasing the money dog just like they did, and only problem is they made it harder for us, so it took more of our time, and eventually we took our eye off the ball, our civic duties. So all this happened while we were simply doing what we thought we were supposed to do.
So in desperation, these creators, what they're doing now is they're all creating their own individual premium content sites.
Well, right, that's their only play, and they're trying. I mean, you have obviously the bigger properties that may have had websites before, the ones that don't are scrambling, and you know, I was involved several months ago with, you know, that's when I decided I was going to really double down and step it up a level, as I would say. I got involved with some people, not going to mention names, very, very directly involved at a high political level, let's say that. And you would know their names if I told you, but I don't have the permission to mention them, so I'm not. Anyway, I realized going through that road, because these folks were trying to develop a voice, you know, for the new president and for other people, to be able to communicate directly with the people on a real-time basis. Yet the people surrounding them in the execution of that were simply more of the same, okay? So it was like, okay, I've got the solution. Nobody can wrap their head around it. WSO's already on it. So I kind of started ratcheting on Steve. So Steve, we need to, you know, we basically need to hit the ball or go home. Let's do this. And
right.
The next level. And so that's what you're seeing now, and you know.
And we're not ever going to stop doing it the way we're doing it.
Right.
And and so just save your comments, because if you call me a money grubber one more time, I might have to come over and slap you.
Right. For guys our age who you know, when I started this journey 8 years ago, I could open my bank statements online and have 7 figures in there every day. It was nice. That's not the case anymore.
Not the case anymore, because we sacrificed our lives to do this.
Well, at some point, somebody has to. And I think that's the thing that finally happened, is just, you know, I didn't want to do any of this. It's clear. At some point, all of us have to just say enough's enough, because if we don't do this now, the next thing is guns in the street, guys. I mean, that's just the choice. I mean, right. I don't want that choice, no matter what we may be facing astronomically, okay? And, you know, all indications are it's Planet X, and that's certainly what I'm preparing for. You know, but even if it's not, humanity's going to go on. This realm is going to continue in some form. And there's going to be a great fight for what that's going to look like, and this is the genesis that we're all facing. This fight has begun. We're behind the 8 ball, but this is a way to catch up quickly and, you know, put us entirely in an architectural perspective where they can't touch us.
Right.
Like they have now. We can't really touch them. We're swinging at air and we go back at them.
There's nothing we can do.
Think about it. They control all the platforms.
I can't sue a guy in New Zealand.
Right. And it's incorporated in Switzerland, New Zealand. I know these guys have been years of setting this up. They knew what they were doing.
And they're getting more sophisticated.
Well, and so we've done the things, the parts that we want to talk about the system, the planning for that. Again, I've had 8 years of studying what they're doing. And I wouldn't ever think, I'll be candid, I didn't see this application for this technology we've been developing until last summer. When it finally hit me, and that's where I reached out to Steve and said, let's, you know, I had to sell him on it.
Yeah.
Hard. Okay.
Because I didn't want to charge money.
Right. He wanted to give it all away. I'm like, look, it's not really about the money. There's going to come a time where you're just going to turn a switch and you're going to go off. And you're like, well, you know, you just in time you realize that just in time we got the site up. We had the list. If we hadn't done that, God knows how this would have turned out for WSO.
Yeah, we would have been screwed.
It was that email list we had when all the sites were shut down, and we were able to communicate with this community.
Right.
If without that, ashy cells, what would have happened?
We would have been erased.
I mean, people were responding to emails thinking Steve's dead. People were creating videos how Steve's dead. He's gone. They got him. You know. And I'm sitting here going, I had the mail list, and I couldn't get a hold of Steve then, and so I just started sending you guys emails, going, no, he's not dead. Everything's good to go. They were attacking our servers like crazy, so we were, you know, I was doing the tech side, and it was like, holy smokes, every day I would go in. I mean, I had many 24-hour days in this stretch. Just, I had never seen anything like this, and I've been doing this for a long time.
But what's the good news about it?
The good news is we know their tactics now.
Yeah.
So they had to show, and they didn't get us with the volleys they normally take people out because we were ready. Our system automatically responds in ways that, you know, I have no idea what really inspired me years ago to do this. When I think back, it doesn't matter at this point because it's done. And now we have the real mission, the real reason it was done. And WSO is the sharp tip of the spear. So guys, we know that all all the chips are on the table right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it. There's You know, and so what are you going to do if you know, I mean, a $25 a year subscription is $2 a month. I mean, come on. We're not, you know, you go look at what the other folks are doing, and you'll see. Our objective here.
Oh, let me talk about George. Just talk about George Norrie, and I have all respect for George.
Right.
And
15, $20 a month each.
Right. You have to charge in order to get content to past shows.
Right. Past shows.
You have to pay them a monthly fee.
And you have, obviously, you know, I mean, the big ones that's coming on now is CRTV, Mark Levin, his stuff.
AMTV.
In the Matrix, AMTV.
Yep.
You know, those guys are, you know, $69 to $99 a year subscriptions, or, you know, $9.99 a month.
They're charging what they have to charge to survive.
Right.
But here's the thing. With the Truth Underground, we can spread that out among more artists.
Right. And if your artist is listening, if you already have a website, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
We can plug you right in.
Yep.
In a way that because everybody's autonomous on this network. That's the beautiful thing about it. We're not asking somebody to jump from YouTube or Facebook into a new YouTube or Facebook.
No. We want you to keep everything going the way you got it.
Everything's sovereign. Everything is. Everybody owns their own space.
This is an added component.
Yep.
Right.
Well, it's how the internet should be. It's you know, if you were to draw the architecture up in a purest way, this is how you would do it. If you wanted to protect integrity. So.
Well, we also have a super lab over here that wants to get on the air here. But all right, so just to end this one up, this is the Truth Underground announcement. Now, the next announcement that you guys are going to see tomorrow, we trolled the trolls a little bit on our events. We misdirected a little bit. Tomorrow we'll be announcing 2 events in 2 different parts of the country. The purpose of these events, we're going to have many speakers. Bob Evans has agreed to speak. We've got Gerald Clark. We've got a whole bunch of really great people. It's going to be a nice list. Right. But really, that's one thing. We're going to get together just to be together, network, and plan. But the second part of this is for publishers. So we're hoping that publishers come on site to this.
Right.
Because if you come, you're going to sit down with Jim one-on-one.
And we'll show you the real way.
We'll show you the ropes, baby.
You know, this internet. You all got to accept that, number one, you're actually internet marketers, and even though you stumbled into it by accident, you're perfect, because the hardest part of internet marketing is content. You've got your juice content. Doesn't matter what you're writing about. More Planet X researchers. It doesn't matter your topic. You know, this platform is something you're going to need, and you'll thrive there, especially first movers.
Right.
You know.
Right. So, and then to go back on, does that mean that WSO is not going to put out videos anymore?
Oh, hell no.
Hell no. My videos are going to stay the same. I'm not holding back any information. So what we do on WSO Live, the content that we share there are the things that we know will get us shut down on YouTube. That's what we put there.
Right. Well, and we know it because we have to make those contents. Steve does. Sorry, Nola, be quiet. We have to make those contents decisions. Steve does every day about because this will get me blocked. This won't.
I'll give you an example, Jim.
There are no shackles.
Come on, Nola.
Yeah,
out.
Come on, Nola. Come on,
you
gotta go sit.
Out. You guys get to see our family now. This is Nola. She's a super lab.
Go out and watch the deer out front.
Come on, Nola.
Go.
Come on. She's funny. I hope you guys don't mind the interruption. But anyway, so what I was going to say...
Look at her. Back in.
So what I was going to say was that at the end of the day, right, if we pull together, that's what this is about. Us pulling together. So I was talking about the events. Those 2 events are a trial. If we get good responses on these events, and we repriced everything, guys, the prices that are rolling out there are not the true ones. We were messing with the trolls. When you see the announcement tomorrow on WSO, GNN, and WSO Live, we want you to think about very seriously either attending in person, and we'll also have a pay-per-view web option for those that cannot travel.
Yep.
Jim?
Exactly. Well, and I mean, yeah, we want to get the message out far and wide. And there's some projects we're not even going to talk about here that are going to be unveiled there. I mean, there's, you know, we've just got projects going on. I don't know. Steve was, in his last video, when we were playing around the last weekend or so, we just realized there's some stuff we can't openly talk about, but we will be unveiling.
Oh, that's where I left out before Nola bit me. Or not bit me, she was licking my face. So, the information that we can, I was going to give you an example, a guy named Kevin Annett. Mm-hmm. Kevin Annett is a brave soul that stood up against the royal family, stood up against world governments, world government leaders, filed a lawsuit in Brussels for child pedophilia, and won.
Wow.
He is the most targeted individual on this earth. No, you will not see that on WSO.
No.
No way. Because they'll shut me down faster than a bulldog on a meat pile, baby.
Well, and stuff we're holding back, guys, is not a tease. It's because that it's anonymous is its protection.
Yeah.
That's all I can say about it.
So, any questions, write to us. And if it's a technical question or something, I'll send it on to Jim. He'll answer you. If you want to ask me a question about our vision, this is just one part of our vision, guys. 2 more to go. Tomorrow, the events. Yep. And then we'll tell you the real secrets.
Yeah, there's more coming in. For those guys out there that have met me through WSO Live support, thank you for your patience through the hard times that we had a few months back, and we're gonna be giving you more access. I've been behind the scenes intentionally until now, and so that's gonna be changing. I can't wait I've got some content that will blow people's minds. And
we could never put this content on the open internet.
I mean, the stuff that we've been doing up here in our secret site here, we just can't put it out there.
So we're asking. We want everybody.
Don't want a hellfire missile on our head.
Yeah, hellfire missile down our throat. All right, so guys, you got the first message. This is the first piece of the vision. Thanks, Jim, for joining us today.
Welcome.
Jim has also agreed to do a weekly show, WSO Live Truth Underground updates. Thank you, Jim.
Yep.
And you can expect that content once a week on WSO.
The Truth Underground terrestrial radio show launches July 6th. We've got Station Live. That's basically the anchor, and we're going to be shopping syndication for that. So I expect that show will be out and going viral, especially when people ask for it. Across.
Oh, by the way, that's not a Steve Olson project. That's a Jim Rivas project.
Right, that's separate.
Jim is going to be a radio host on terrestrial radio.
I have been before. So.
He has. I think it's a big deal. But I'm easily impressed though. So, but at the end of the day, Jim, thank you for taking that mantle.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. And he's gonna put himself out publicly, just like I did, and anonymity. Your anonymous status is over with.
Right. I'm going to say this again. I didn't want to. And Steve knew it, and it's just like that's just what's lined up.
I had to sell you on the radio show.
Right. Well, you heard them sell other people trying to sell me on it, and I was like, no, I really wanted to do this without doing that again. Without getting out in the public realm again. I've gone through great trouble to get out of the public eye. I've lived there. It might look nice. It's not. It's not. It's overrated. We'll talk about that in that realm, but trust me, I've been through the ups and downs, the highs and lows, and I can tell you there's, elevation of consciousness and spirit is number one. Period. And that's that's what's happening here. We've got an unlikely. We know from where we are, there's a very unlikely connection of people that have come together that just can't be random. It's just not possible. The odds of it happening were 0 or next to it. And the way things are unfolding, we're realizing, okay, this is what we're meant to do. And every one of you got to listen to the voice within.
That's right.
Because if we sit on the sidelines, you're gonna get rolled over by no matter what comes down the pipe. But to be prepared also means to prepare to resist it, to survive, to thrive. It's not about survival; it's about thrival. We as human beings deserve to thrive. We were meant to live in that consciousness, to live in that thriving space, and we've been slowly deprogrammed from that. We've been taught to accept less. We've been taught to settle through systemic brainwashing over a long period of time. We're going to undo that. We're going to unlock that because the true human potential is what we all need. This is our turn. It's our turn. We have the window here because of the flyby. Either two things are going to happen. Whatever you call the other forces, the domain, the empire, whatever your brand label is for them, all right, they have an agenda. It's clear that, whether you understand their agenda or not, you can't deny it's there. It's not your agenda, all right, unless you're one of them. And so what else are we going to do? We're all going to just sit by and watch it happen like we've seen historically happen in many societies? No, we're not about that. So we hope that's why you're joining us, to be about more than WSO. And it's been hard, I got to admit, to be quiet about this for the last 3 months and to be out promoting the site. And we've seen people, we've been trolled. People saying, oh, y'all trying to get rich and off this. If I was trying to get rich, I'd be charging a lot more for it.
No, if I was trying to get rich, I wouldn't be doing truthing.
Exactly. It doesn't pay.
No, I've had money before. I've been broke. I've been rich. Yeah. I much prefer being poor and happy.
Yeah. I've never been happier in my life.
I haven't either.
Fact. Yeah, this is amazing.
All right, guys. Well, so stay tuned tomorrow. You'll see my regular WSO videos all day. But listen, tomorrow, stay tuned for the big announcement for the events. WSO Live Truth Underground. Take care, guys. Love you.
The election had turned out differently. you wouldn't be noticing any of it.
Right. And this is a good segue. So guys, when you talk about, and I'm going to put up a slideshow for you guys, and we're going to walk you through this vision that we have
for the Truth Underground.
For the Truth Underground. And let's just go through it, right? So,
well, yeah, first and foremost, the Truth Underground it was being created. It's been a long-standing idea, yet everything seems to be synchronistically coming together in a very unique way right now. The Truth Underground is a response to circumstance. The platform that runs WSO Live is part of a greater network. Some of you have stumbled into it because you'll hit a JMA login screen or something that is basically not part of WSO Live, but is part of the gateway into a larger network. And I'm not going to go propeller head into the whole technical concept right now, but just understand we've had my work over the last 8 years has been involved in creating an alternative internet and an alternate content space to actually just create probably a more idealistic version of the internet reality.
Right.
I mean, that's just the bottom line.
So why would WSO Live and the Truth Network be successful now when it couldn't have been successful 6 months ago?
And it started as an idealistic and a version of, the intentions were good. The people who created were purists. They didn't want to have advertisers at all. Neither of those platforms. They resisted advertising, as long as they could. Even to the point where the creators of Google were willing to sell their company for $1 million literally 2 years before they had a market cap of $36 billion. They were ready to sell the whole Google rights for $1 million just so they didn't have to deal with advertisers. How's that? And so, because I think fundamentally knew once advertisers got involved and they would lose control of the direction, they would no longer be able to execute a purist platform, and they didn't. It quickly changed. Google AdWords came in, which was great for marketers, but that's when they started executing censorship. It was around 2007-8, and Google decided they want to change the game. They used to have, 2 or 3 ads up on a search engine result page. Well, Wall Street, right? They want more. So now you go to a Google search on the top search term, and you have a hard time finding the organic content there because it's all ads above and below.
Yeah, you're going to have to pick through like 100 million search returns, right? Now, here's what they've done, and I'll tell you the story in context with WSO. So they're going to shut down the money flow. The first thing they did, that's the story we're going to tell you guys.
Well, PTB pitched this slowing over the plate by attacking first. First they came out with the hard censorship attacks in WSO Live, Health Ranger, InfoWars. I mean, they've been very public.
Gaia has been attacked.
There's hundreds of sites, the most highest profile. They first attacked them outright. They basically, shot the lead bird in each group, and figuring if they took the top one out, the others would just crumble too. Then, there's some rather resourceful people who started suing them, and Google doesn't like to be sued.
So that's what's going on. Censoring content is no new thing. And by the way, Jim's been at this for over, 20 years?
15 years in this current, Google, Google is just hitting its 20-year mark. They really came of age, I got involved heavily with them in the late 90s. They actually officially incorporated in 98. In the early 2000s, there was just what we call the Wild West days. So I was involved in Google marketing since 99. And so I went through every iteration and realized pretty quickly, and just like many of you here have been through the watchful evolution of Facebook, it always...
Hey everybody, it's Steve Olson, and I have a special guest today that you all need to meet. He's part of the WSO Live. He has been with me from the beginning. Jim Rivas. Hi, Jim.
Hello.
So Jim... Guys, you got to know something about this Jim guy. Jim, I scored a friendship that is going to last forever with Jim. And the other thing about this relationship is Jim has been teaching me the secrets of really how the internet really works. And that's going to be part of what we talk about today. But Jim, how's WSO Live going right now?
It's going amazing.
It is. And we're getting a huge amount of signups, and I think that we're going to explain a little bit of that today. But, WSO Live is, first thing I want to say to you guys is we're not trying to keep anybody out that can't afford it. So if somebody's really struggling and wants to, borrow, just go ahead and you got to send an email to me and let me know. You can't complain to me on my comment section, guys. I can't do anything for you there, okay? So the first thing is, if you have a problem, email me at olson.steven.d@gmail.com. Now, second thing is, you go, well, why are you guys turning into an enterprise or a business? Jim, how would you answer that question?
Well, the main reason is because we have a bigger mission, much bigger mission than this website and WSO Live and what Steve's doing. You know, there's a logical conclusion to all this. And if you just play the tape forward, you realize that it takes a professional enterprise to execute everything we want to do.
Right. And we've seen enough amateur organizations out there, guys. You should see the wasteland of amateur organizations.
Been a part of them.
And we've both been part of them. And so what we're doing, the reason why this is so exciting, guys, and we're going to go into this, is that really WSO Live is just the tip of the spear. And when you see us building this organization with seminars and with radio shows, Jim actually is going to be having a terrestrial radio show coming up. All these different things are coming together, not just to talk about Nibiru or Planet X, is what we realized. Everything that's going on is connected to Planet X some way.
It's all connected.
Right, and so let me give you an example. Today, Jim's going to upload on premium content an interview of the Deep State Blues program, one of the parts of the WSO Live network. Is we do deep state blues, and we go into issues that affect people from the deep state, and the deep state's motivation is all around this.
Absolutely.
Because they want to use this event as a way to control us, guys, and that's why we're doing this. So
remember, Steve, they had basically 30 years to creep in slowly but surely to get their tentacles around all the levers of control at every level, and we're seeing it now. And I mean, if the